Okay then, it's time for Team of the Week for Week 6 of the Overwatch League 2021, and this one's going to be very different looking because, well, there's no Dallas Fuel, so they can't dominate the Team of the Week. Sorry, Dallas fans. But things have been very different this week because we've seen some teams come to the top of the league where we haven't really seen them popping off quite in this fashion before. So we're probably going to see some very different people on this Team of the Week, a lot of new faces, and it really does indicate quite how good some teams have been this week. I did not expect to be putting some of these names on Team of the Week, I'm not going to lie, going into the June Joust, but here we are. Things can be very unexpected, you never know what's going to happen next in the Overwatch League, to be quite honest, this year, and to be quite honest also, we kind of like it that way, don't we? We kind of like the unpredictability, we like the fact that things are just not going according to plan, and it's making the league very unpredictable, which is exactly kind of what you want to see, because it's better for excitement, it's better for viewers. So as ever, we're going to start off with our supports, and this weekend, the support duo, this weekend, it's the middle of the week, what am I talking about? This time around, the support duo kind of speaks for itself, it comes in a duo, it comes nicely packaged as this ready-to-go support line that has done fantastically well this weekend. It's from Boston, so it's Faith and Myungbong. Faith, he's had his best week yet, and we didn't see much from Boston at all last month in the May Melee, and we were wondering, well, Boston are not living up to the hype. This is typical Boston, you know, but something's clicked between the May Melee and the June Joust. Something has definitely clicked, and it's quite obvious. It may be due to the new additions to the Boston Uprising, it may be something else, it may be Laurie finally getting through to them, but Faith and Myungbong have been fantastic this weekend. Keeping their tank line alive, keeping their DPS up, enabling their team to do so much work, and you can see the effect it's having on Gabulsi, Punk, Stand 1, you know, I'm 37, Valentine. It's allowing them to do so much more that they're actually getting somewhere now. They're able to sweep teams like Washington Justice, which we would never have expected. Yes, you could say Washington Justice have not been great, but they've still swept them, which is something we hadn't been expecting from Boston Uprising. They'd been struggling to do in previous... remember in the May Melee when they went to 5 maps against London Spitfire? Maybe that was the wake-up call, because these two players have really done well this weekend. Really done well. Stepping up to the plate and just parrying this team forward from the back line. It's exactly what you want to see from this team. So when we look at the stats, you can see Faith outdoing people like Toby in the statistics. And when you look at the eliminations, and this is an incredible thing about Boston Uprising this weekend, when you look at the eliminations per 10 minutes out of all of the supports we've seen, Faith and Myungbong are 1 and 2 by quite a margin. Faith is 1 by quite a margin over Myungbong as well. They're only followed up by Iris and Khan, so it's pretty extraordinary. It's pretty extraordinary. Faith is also up there on solo kills near the top as well. It probably explains what's been happening with the Boston Uprising. These guys are popping off. They're not just healing. They're getting the healing stats out there, don't get me wrong. Myungbong doing better than Jonak and Monk this weekend. But they're also getting so much damage pumped out. It is making teamfights so much easier to win for Boston Uprising. And it's very clear, it's a very aggressive, very high damage output support line that is doing so well. And I'm not sure if teams at the moment know how to handle this. So, Faith is my main support, Myungbong is my flex support. We have to give out a shout to some people. Khan has been fantastic this weekend for the Paris Eternal. Gangnam Jin, again, doing great on that healing output per 10 minutes for the Florida Mayhem. Gangnam Jin is always up there in that flex support spot as you would expect. Bebe, again, doing great for the Hangzhou Spark, alongside MCD. We have seen Crimzo doing quite well as well, with Iris is actually doing very well on the stats as well. Iris has done very well for the Atlanta Reign this weekend. And Massa also not doing too badly either, but I did go with Faith and Myungbong. So, this is where we move over to our tank line. We are going to start off with our off tank. So again, there's been a massive amount of off tank quality. We have seen during this weekend, Void doing very well. We've seen Bernard doing very well for the Hangzhou Spark actually. Fury again doing okay. You've seen Elsa doing okay as well. Elivote having one of his best weeks for the Paris Eternal. Krong also stepping up for the Guangzhou Charge. You've got a lot of options here, probably Hopper not being one of them because he's had a rough week. Hawk has also had a fantastic week for the Atlanta Reign. However, we will be going over to the Boston Uprising again because I'm going to go with Gabe Ulsey. And Gabe Ulsey gets straight into Team of the Week on his debut. And why? Because Gabe Ulsey was running the show for Boston Uprising. It was quite clear. This was the missing stone in the Infinity Gauntlet for Boston Uprising, and we had known it all along, right? When we saw Gabe Ulsey was signed to the Uprising Academy, we were like, why has he not been promoted to the Boston Uprising straight away? And now we are showing evidence of, well, he should have been promoted straight away. Like, Gabe Ulsey has made a massive difference to this Uprising roster. It's now full Korean, and it just looks so much better. So much better with him in the lineup. And not only that, Gabe Ulsey has demonstrated fantastic off-tank play. Fantastic off-tank play. Really survivable. When you're looking at deaths per 10 minutes and Fury's on 6.5, Gabe Ulsey's on 4.6. That's much better than the likes of Void, Hotbar, even Fury, obviously, as I just said. So he's doing very well in that department, but where we see Gabe Ulsey shine is when he's contributing to kills with his team, when he's getting those eliminations, when he's getting those final blows, when he's getting that damage output. He was only bettered by Void this weekend across not only off tanks but main tanks as well, for his damage output, and that is incredible. Like, you have to just take that into account and say, well done. Thing is, and this is very different compared to some of the others you may see, this is not solo kills. Because when you look at Gabe Ulsey's solo kills, it's actually pretty low when you compare it to others. Bernard is right up there. So why is it low? This is evidence that whatever the Boston Uprising is doing is working because the team synergy is there. Clearly, there is coordinated play, coordinated attacks, coordinated target focus that means that, yes, it's not solo kills because the whole team is on that one player, is on that one target and killing them. And that's why what the Boston Uprising have done this weekend has been so successful. There's clearly a team ethic, there's clearly team direction, it's clearly working, and it's hats off to OWLRU, Gabe Ulsey stepping in, and this whole team to really, really push that forward. So, what can you say? Gabe Ulsey has made a massive difference to this team and I think deserves this Team of the Week spot, not to take it away from anyone else that obviously was very good as well, as I mentioned before. Main tank is where it becomes much more difficult actually, because there are so many people that I could have put in this spot. Not gonna lie. So Gaga had a really good weekend. Gator had a really good weekend for the Atlanta Reign. Stand 1 has also been fantastic for the Boston Uprising. Again, pretty much the entirety of Boston Uprising has been fantastic, so Dan of the Paris Eternal. Not a name I thought I'd mention very often on here, but yes, he's here and he's doing well. Haddy of the London Spitfire. Despite the London Spitfire's results, Haddy has been doing well. And testament to him, his damage is really good this weekend, not gonna lie. And it does build a platform for London Spitfire to build off of, although good luck against the Texas teams next week. However, I will be going over to the Asia region for the first time, the East region for the first time this video, because we are going to visit the Hangzhou Spark and give it to Guxue. Because Guxue is just... Guxue was kind of, not benched, but messed around with in the main melee prior to the coaching change at the Hangzhou Spark when Takoyaki was being used quite a lot, even in Winston comps where you would expect Guxue to shine. Since the coaching change at the Hangzhou Spark, we've seen Guxue come back in as their proper main tank. We have not seen Takoyaki. And my goodness me, it is paying dividends for this Hangzhou Spark team. Guxue is looking fantastic on the main tank right now, and has to be rated as one of the best main tanks in the league right now. He is getting to play his favourable Winston, and it is just looking magnificent. We know Gouxwei is a pioneer of Winston play, he always has been, and he's finally getting to demonstrate that. His solo kills are high. His deaths, his deaths are incredibly low. He is the lowest rated deaths per 10 minutes main tank across the entire board this weekend. 4 deaths per 10 minutes. When you compare that to the likes of, say, Yakpung on 5.1, Mag on 6.1, Gator on 5.3, Rio on 5.3 as well, Hattie on 5.2, he's standing out from the crowd when it comes to these stats. And then, not only that, he's clearly getting it completely perfect. Do you want to know why? Because his deaths are low. But my goodness me, when he's going in with the Winston, he knows exactly when to peel out, exactly when to leave the fight, exactly when he's on the border of overextending and perhaps dying. He knows exactly what to do and when to do it. Because he's not only got low deaths, he's got incredibly great eliminations, final blows, and hero damage. And that is testament, and it shows quite how good Gouxwei has been. Because that is the biggest issue for Winston players at times, and team play in general. It's knowing when to peel out, knowing when to get out as that Winston. If you're playing dive, you're generally jumping in. If you're playing double bubble, you're generally not jumping in, you're cleaving, and then you're jumping out back to your team to get heals and then go back in when you've expended your cooldowns. And then you have to wait for your cooldowns to come back up. And they are doing this perfectly. Gouxwei is demonstrating an extremely high tier play for main tank at the moment, and you gotta hand it to him. I honestly think he was the best main tank this weekend. Maybe rivaled by Stand 1, but I still think Gouxwei has been better. And Gouxwei has been up there actually rivaling the eliminations per 10 minutes of the off tanks we've been seeing. Banar and Gabe Ulsi right up there. That's kind of crazy when you think about it, when he's a main tank. So yeah, I got to take my hats off to Gouxwei. He's had a fantastic weekend. We are now going to move on to our DPS players because, my goodness me, we've been spoiled. It's a little odd this weekend because we've seen some people flex from different roles. Because the 2 people I'm going to give it to arguably could also be 2 flex DPS players, but they're not. So, first of all, I'm going to start off in my more hit scanny role that also plays some Echo from time to time. This is going to be Leave. My goodness me, have you seen this player? This is crazy what Leave has been doing this weekend. It is not healthy. He has been just ripping teams apart for the Chengdu Hunters. Like, his first elimination rate while playing Echo, he is absolutely leaving the league behind. When this is not just compared to the East region, remember, this is compared to the entire league. He is completely leaving the league in dust. I do not mean to use puns here, but holy goodness, this is... I have no explanation for Leave this weekend. He's just descended to another level. He completely caps out the league in terms of elimination and final blows. His Echo has been true insanity. And he's definitely demonstrated the best Echo player in the league this weekend. And if Chengdu can continue to capitalize on that, then this month will not be anywhere near as bad for Chengdu as I was expecting, which is very good. We've seen a substantial bounce back from Chengdu, which is something we really want to see. However, I do want to give a very big shout out to Valentine, because Valentine has also been doing very well for the Boston Uprising this weekend. Nice having a decent time for the Toronto Defiant as well. Blase's not looked too bad for London Spitfire. Choicer One also doing very well for the Guangzhou Charge. Dante also with the Houston Outlaws. Assassin's not had a massively great weekend. Yaki's been okay for the Florida Mayhem. Naga has had some very good plays for the Paris Eternal. But yeah, Rascal's kind of had it a little bit rough perhaps. But yeah, apart from that, like, just Valentine and Leave have stuck out to me this weekend. Fletter's done well as well, but Leave mostly he's just been wiping the floor with teams. It's incredible. By far the best person on the Chengdu Hunters this weekend. without a doubt. But then we move over to our more hit scanning role. This is where things get a little bit odd, because it's the player I am going to put here has probably played a majority not hit scan this weekend. However, he has been flexing over that the hit scan has been quite capable on that as well. So first of all, I'm going to give an honorable mention to Shai. Shai has been doing fantastic again this weekend for the Hangzhou Spark, continuing his his great run out of the main melee that we saw at the end when things changed for the Hangzhou Spark. He's continuing that now into the June Joust, and he's still looking really, really good. Then we have players like Pelican. Pelican has looked really, really good for the Atlanta Reign this weekend, and so we give him a shout out. Lip as well. I've already mentioned Dante. Happy's been doing okay at the Houston Outlaws. It's not been Carpe's weekend, but we all have those moments. Kai has also been doing very well at the Atlanta Reign. So there's a lot of people you can shout out here, but I'm going to give it to Eilean. Now, the reason I'm giving it to Eilean is that Guangzhou Charge, for one of the first times this season, are playing to their strengths. Eilean is playing a little bit of hit scan, but most of the time he's playing Doomfist, and that Doomfist has been playing havoc with teams in the East region. It has been playing absolute havoc. It is not uncommon to see Eilean come out with a 2k out of a fight out of nowhere on Doomfist, and all of a sudden Guangzhou Charge are back on the point and flipping it. You know, really, really good play from Eilean this weekend, and when he's had to, he's moved over to the Widowmaker, over to the Ashe, over to the McCree, whatever's been needed, and again, he still looked good, which is what you want to see from Eilean. He cannot become a Doomfist one-trick, that's not going to work, cough cough gypsa, but it can be incredibly effective when used to its strengths, and that's exactly what Guangzhou Charge have been doing, and Eilean has been seeing incredible results from it. Some results that have put him very high up on final blows, very high up on the damage as the eliminations per 10 minutes. Not so high on the damage, because the reason he's not so high on the damage is because he's playing one-shot sort of heroes. He's not chipping damage over time like you would see from an Echo and things like that. That's why we see Echoes normally cap out those damage stats. But his solo kills, his solo kills per 10 minutes are by far the best out of the league this weekend. It's not even a gap. Like, he's over the 2 mark. He's at 2.1. That's extraordinary. The next challenge to that is Lip on 1.6. That's really fantastic from Eilean. And Guangzhou Charge would not have had a great bounce back weekend like they've had without Eilean. That's for sure. And that's why he rounds out this team of the week for me. I think he's been fantastic. I really, really do. So my team of the week is Faith, Myungbong, Gu Shui, Gei Bulsi, Leave, and Eilean. It's a very different looking team of the week, but it's been a very different looking week, that's for sure. And we will see if the weird trends continue going into week 7, when we see the return of Dallas Fuel and the San Francisco Shock, amongst others. That should be very, very interesting. Will Dallas Fuel continue their march after their dominant melee performance, or will they crumble like some of these other teams have, like Philadelphia Fusion, etc.? It'll be interesting to see, because right now, the question is for that team, and I know we're going on a Dallas Fuel tangent, but the question is for Dallas Fuel, if you can maintain your performance from last month, then you most likely are this best team in the league and the favourites to go on and do some very special things this season, but can you maintain it? That's the big thing, and there's been a very big problem with teams in this season, and that is consistency. That's why we're seeing upsets, that's why we're seeing so many different results, because consistency has just not been there. And so it will be very, very interesting to see if Dallas Fuel can be one of the very few to be consistent. But that's for another video. The previews will be coming up very, very soon. Stay tuned for that. Make sure you hit the bell to make sure you don't miss out on that when that comes out. All of the socials are linked in the video description for Illusion Gaming and myself, as per usual. Give the Twitters a follow. Join up with the Discords to have nice chats as well. There's also Twitches you can follow as well. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you like to give a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.